So I think one thing we want to talk about is like what a lot of agencies or companies get is like a pot of gold of funds. So these funds get dispersed across promotions, raises, very high performance. And what will happen is, Danielle and I will be equals. Let's say I didn't know Danielle is technically getting paid $10,000 more than me for the same job title, same amount of experience. What happens is we both get promoted at 6% rate. She is now still soaring higher than I, and I'm just getting probably to the level in which she started. So it's constantly this struggle as you move in your career where you have lowballed yourself in the beginning, that you have to work that much harder all the time, as if you aren't working hard anyway, just to get to the scale in which you are. I actually spoke with an account director, like a VP account director, and she said one of the things that she did wrong was for her first 2 jobs, she did not negotiate. And she said it had huge implications for her because as a VP account director, she learned that she's still technically getting paid less than her counterparts, because most companies, you can't just go from getting paid $30,000 to $70,000. It has to be some type of, you take these steps.
Because they're gonna look at you and be like, well, what makes you justify for it that much? You weren't getting that in the last one. Because they can ask you. That's also something, they can ask you how much you're getting paid, prior to. So sometimes you can fluff it up with the benefits, so car payments or gifts or extra vacation time. Like, you can kind of fluff it up a little bit, but that matters, and they have a right to look and see how much you're getting paid before.
Yeah, and I think that goes into another point, a part of negotiation. It's never, and this is a white lie that everyone does, never tell them how much you're actually getting paid. If you're getting paid $50,000 and your new salary that you want to get paid is $60,000, you might want to tell them $55,000. Like, you might want to just get closer to that number and what you're trying to get for the new job than to tell them the truth. And the reason for this is it's a lot of reasons for it. One reason might be you're getting paid less than what you should be, and they know that. You might actually be getting $42,000, and this next job you want to get paid $60,000 because it's actually in line with what you should be getting paid. So that's another issue, is that this whole making up process. Now you're trying to overly compensate at this new job and make them have to pay you $20,000 more when in actuality you should have been constantly negotiating. So it makes that process a little bit easier. Those leaps aren't as huge. You aren't questioned as much, and you frankly don't have to tell huge white lies.
Right. Because also, just think about it. If a company sees you valuable enough to be paid $60,000, the next company is not going to twitch when you say, "Oh, I'm ready for $80,000," because they were like, "Oh, well, the last company did $60,000. It makes sense." Versus $30,000, you're not really that beneficial. $30,000 is like entry, $10,000 if you be in poverty. So with that being said, your value, if we're just looking at how much you're worth, is very low, and it's a whole entire packet. They're looking like, okay, well, your last company didn't see you valuable enough to, give you a pay raise or increase or whatever. So let me look into your file. Do you have any issues? Why do you want to come to us? Versus oh, you're just ready for a career transition because your ultimate goal is to be a director. So you do need multiple experiences or things like that. So of course you can always switch it around, but we just want to open your eyes to certain things because we don't talk about it enough. And another thing is to ask people, if they don't want to tell you their salary, that's on them. But a lot of people will tell you.
Yeah, lots of people are happy to talk about it. They don't care, especially when they're winning.
Right.
People who aren't winning in the system sometimes don't want to share because they're embarrassed. They may know they're losing, which is why they're not willing to share. I find that the most successful people are willing to share what may help to make them successful.
Yeah.
So it's I have tons of people in the industry. Someone, actually shared a counter offer letter template with me, and I passed it on. And I feel like we're just all passing this torch because it's working for everyone. And it's not like we're trying to get over on the system. We're just trying to do right by ourselves and educate ourselves on a process that goes unspoken.
Yes.
We don't talk about this step. And it, from our parents' generation, for example, that's also something that may seem, greedy. Those types of words. Ungrateful. Millennials.
You guys are just
absolutely.
But it's just what you're worth. at this point, I think that at least for, especially in the Black community, you know, our grandparents couldn't even get in the door for some of these corporations. So the fact that you even made it in the door, that's a dream revealed or lived for your grandparents. So that's a generational issue with not just taking what you are, keeping your head down and working up. But we also have to look at our majority counterparts that have gotten rich off of our free labor or low paid labor. So we need to change that. You're not being greedy, you're getting what you're worth, and you're bringing yourself to the table. Because the more money you make now, the more wealth you're able to generationally give to your children, and that's how we increase this generational wealth gap.
Yeah, and I think, everything you're saying, we're right on the same page, because we have to get out of this, move ourselves away from this moment where we keep saying, well, millennials are entitled and ungrateful, and they ask for too much. By no means are we saying ask for it and not deserve it. You know, faith without works is dead.
Right.
You can't possibly think you're just going to go to a company and say, I want $80,000. I have no experience.
Right.
I know this. I mean, let's be real. We have to be realists. I'm talking about people who have worked hard. They had those college internships that are indeed
work experience.
Yeah, really good work
whole
experience.
projects that counts.
Exactly, that are applicable to the role in which they are, applying for. So we're talking to you. We're not talking about someone who's just trying to milk or beat the system. It's beating the system. We're talking about
hardworking, smart individuals that are going to do great for the company. You're going to be an asset for it. We want to make sure that you're starting your career off on the right foot.
Exactly, because what you do now determines where you end up later. Period, point blank. Salary-wise, career-wise. If you're having issues negotiating your salary, now you're going to have issues negotiating it when they're trying to put you in that senior role. And the conversations definitely get more difficult. The more they're offering you, you see more, opportunities and fluff in that contract. You're going from 3 weeks vacation to 8 weeks vacation, and everything's looking better and better as you go.
Yeah.
So you need to learn those basic skills as early as possible, so when you get those contracts, it's literally like clockwork. It's not a timid situation. It's very assertive, direct, and you just get over it. You just move past it.
Exactly. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, you are already in the job, you are cooking with grease, as my grandmother would say. And now let's talk about what to do when you have a difficult boss, or even a boss that wants to get you fired.
Well, I guess I'll start with this
Yes.
one. So throughout my career, I feel like, I'm a very spiritual woman. I feel like God I get tested a lot. I have been tested in every regard possible. And I think for me, I'm a very hard-working person. Most people will tell you the number one quality that makes me stand out is my work ethic. I'm going to get it done right on time. No matter how hard I have to work to do it, I'm going to get it done. When I first started out, I had the mentality that, okay, you're my boss, you tell me what to do. I don't necessarily have that level of autonomy and power or control to really push back or to say no. So I became the yes man. And I think sometimes when you start out in your career, it's natural to become a yes man where your boss tells you to do something. Sure, of course you do it, but where there's sometimes there's definitely an opportunity to question what's being asked of you, or to ask for further clarification.
Okay.
For me, I had more than enough difficult bosses to work with, and I think what helped me to get through that was, again, removing that timidness and trying to do a few things. So first, when I first had a confrontation with a boss who literally just had it out for me, I think it was some race-related issues. I think there was also issues with the fact that she was intimidated by me, and little old me. Someone who was fresh out of college, why are you intimidated by me? I think she just had a lot of issues with just my personal character, and it wasn't a good match. And just to add to further my argument, later on, I found out that she was, a hazer. She had done this to tons of African American women in the industry. I actually just had a conversation about it amongst a group of African American women, and out of that group of women, 2 other women had been hazed by this woman early in their career. So I think, I spoke with her. I tried to have a heart-to-heart with her. My mom said, just, talk to her, tell her how you're feeling. And I think that, that can be helpful sometimes when you have a person who is led by emotions. She wasn't led by emotions nor logic, so it really wasn't any time. it was not much talking to her. I tried to approach it in both ways, but I then ended up going to HR. And I think, period, point blank, if you're having an issue with the boss, the first thing you can do is try to sit down with them and say, here's the situation. Try to take emotion out of it, and approach it with facts. That's the logical approach. Here's what's happened. This is the result. How can we move past this to work better? That's just very ABC steps. I've done that in my recent years, and I've gotten blank stares, nothing's changed, awkward tension. Just go to HR. Go to HR. That puts fire under people, especially if they have a history with a company of doing wrong to their employees. No HR department wants their employees to be taken advantage of, and I think you have to, again, know your worth, know yourself, to say, hey, this is being done to me. I know it's wrong, and here's the facts. Here's what they've done. Keep an accurate, account. I had a boss who was literally, I couldn't even go to the restroom. It was like 15 instant message chats, said to me, where are you? And we sat 5 feet away from each other. I was just at the restroom. Those type of things are, that's harassment. And it's inappropriate for the workplace. And don't let anyone tell you that
hostile work environment.
Yes.
If you ever need to go to HR, that's the word to use.
Hostile work environment. If you are going to sleep with knots in your stomach, and then at around 4 p.m. on Sundays you get that work anxiety, chances are you are a part of a hostile work environment that you need to nip in the bud.
So for me, and I've just talked to a lot of my different friends that have worked in different organizations, and it seems like mistreatment against minorities, especially Black people in the corporate America, is something that is going to be very common. It's just something that everybody deals with. Everybody that I talked to, and it was just, I'm not putting any specific industry on blast because it's not necessary, but it's just all over multiple industries. Everybody's dealing with it, and no one wants to talk about it. It's kind of like similar to kind of like rape culture, where no one's talk about it, but like it's happening, and it's like no one wants to talk about it, but this is like a real thing. How come all these different people around all these different states, all these different industries, I talked to you dealt with someone that has had some racial tension to you, whether it be overt or not, it still happens. So for me, you have to come and be your best advocate, because it's not a matter of what if it'll happen, it's when it'll happen. And when it does, you need to be ready to fight, actually, because that's wrong. And if you're dealing with that situation, you're probably in the process of being fired or moved or demoted anyway, so you might as well fight and go out swinging. So for me, I didn't have an issue until like years into my corporation. So the first one I didn't have any issues with, but I already knew from being an undergrad that I need to have a brag book. So a brag book is just something that you keep adding to a portfolio, and it talks about all of your projects. If you've done a great project, it's a one-sheeter about a project that you did, and you talk about how long it was, what happened, what was the goal, what was the end result, and who all you worked with. And I even started taking emails from different people that would tell me good job or just give me accolades. And I would make sure that I had the signature, because if the email has confidential information, okay, great. I'm real more concerned about who is sending it, so I can show that I am a team player and it's not just the same person over and over again. So I used the brag book at first to make sure that I was able to get a promotion before like the 18-month period, but then I ended up using that same brag book when it came to my attention that I was getting unfair treatment, and my male white counterpart actually blew the whistle on my boss, and I was able to showcase my records, and I was able to move to a different team, without any issues. But had I not been able to prove my case, I would have been fired.
Yeah, and I think that's, yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's one or the other. It's really hot and cold.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when I like work at any company, I try to make sure I don't just stay siloed within my department, within that experience, because every department, you know, in the advertising industry, there's a million departments. You have the accounting department, you have production, you have HR, you have, you know, all these things that aren't account management. And I think when you go to a company, you should be trying to make an impact on that culture, and that's something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
You know, success for me is measured by the impact I leave or have on others. So my success should not just be attributed to a project, a specific project I have in the company. So when I raised the flag that I was having issues within, you know, my company, I had advocates, I had people from all departments coming to help, you know, fight with me to say, no, I worked on the pro bono project with Dominique and she was amazing. Like, that is completely out of character. I'm questioning the validity of the argument that's being brought against her. So I think sometimes what we do is we just keep our head down. We don't build those relationships with others. And the only person who can really speak on you is the person who's speaking against you.
Because it's going to be you against your boss. And your boss is going to have more rank because they're higher in the company. So what are you going to do in the meantime? So for me, I feel like while you're going through your career, it's best to not say, okay, this is my job description, this is what I did, because I can Google your job description. I want to know, what did you do to benefit the company? Did you start an organization, or did you help an organization, a women's organization, a minorities organization? Did you volunteer? Did you start a newsletter to help the team with better communication? These things don't take a lot of time, but they count, and that also gives you a chance to meet with other people. So, and also for me, like, if you have in clients, I contacted my clients and I was like, can you vouch for me that I'm a good person? They were like, yeah, I had a whole bunch of customer emails and I was able, again, to move on. So not only did I have my coworkers, I had outside clients, I had people from all over, because I was on a women's organization that was across the country, and it was beneficial. But it was because I was in there not just trying to do my job, get a check and leave. I was trying to really build my career. And when you're trying to do that, that's asset enough for you to go on and do whatever you may need to do within the future to get to your end goal.
Yeah, and I think one thing, just to take a step back, that you need to do if you do have a very difficult boss, you need to make sure HR files that on record. Because I guarantee you, if you know, the person who's, you know, the like, what's the word I'm looking for? The underdog. The underdog, they always will create a file on you because that's their case to get rid of you. You know, they're building a case to get rid of you. You need to make sure that HR is going to file a complaint or put that in their folder or whatever to make sure that the agency knows. I mean, there's tons of rotations and people, you know, pop in and pop out of companies. You need to make sure that no matter who picks up that file, they are aware of who, you know, Danielle or Dominique was. Like, they need to be very much so aware of that candidates or that employees, like, past. Because when, you know, you approach HR and you say, I'm having an issue with my manager, and they go to their file and they say, you know what, this is strike 3. You know, this is strike 3 for them. Or, okay, they don't have any strikes against them. One thing to note, sometimes a lot of things happen under the table where they don't file these things. I would be, if it were me, I would push really strongly to make sure that the agency is keeping an adequate record of that, because I've been told that certain things were not put on the books and they were supposed to. So that's something to fight for yourself. And again, don't be afraid to fight for yourself, because again, if you don't fight for yourself, who will? You can't bring your mom to work and say, hello, Mom, I'm being treated poorly. My mom wanted to come up to my job. She was so angry at some of the things that are going on. And I'm like, I have to stand strong. And at this point, my mom knows that I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to fight for my contract. I'm going to make sure that my work conditions are indeed what I would like them to be, and that I'm not compromising. When you start to compromise early, you compromise forever. And that's what we're just trying to, like, really promote, that you just don't need to compromise anything in your life. You deserve the best, and you should know your worth and get what you're worth.
Yes. So that concludes this video. So let us know, have you ever dealt with a difficult boss? Have you ever negotiated? Are you about to start getting to this negotiation game? What advice do you have for any of our listeners watching if you've already done all of the above? So I am Average Black Girl.
And I'm Lyric Star.
And we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.